adventurers, welcome to this casting of Geas Quest. Today, let's discuss the Variant Multiclassing system in Pathfinder Unchained by Paizo Publishing. Now, see, here's the dealio with this Variant Multiclassing thing. See, in Pathfinder, it's a class-based system, class-based tabletop RPG that many of you already know because Pathfinder is one of the most played tabletop RPGs in the world right now. And like in many other class-based RPGs, you can multi-class. Multi-classing obviously means you take levels in a different class and learn that other class's abilities. However, Pathfinder actively I want to say discourages multi-classing because, well, the classes are really well made for the most part. And if you're a spellcaster, you don't want to lose your, your spell progression. You don't want to lose your spells per day, your spells known. So yeah, you don't want to lose your spell progression when you're a spellcaster. So multi-classing as a spellcaster is usually a big no-no. So a lot of people actually don't do multi-classing as much in Pathfinder, from what I've seen at the very least. For other things, if you're a martial character, multi-classing sometimes happens. Actually, I'm now playing a character who is a multi-class fighter's psychic. But, honestly, I just did it for the heavy armor proficiency and the tower shield proficiency. That's the only reason I multi-class with that guy. And he only has one level in fighter. Everything else is, psychic. So usually you don't break your class progression because in Pathfinder a lot of class abilities are very tied to your class level. Not your character level, your class level. There's a very big difference between both of them, alright? Class level is your level in your class, your character level is your total level, including hit die if you have any, or from other classes if you have any. And as you progress in your class, you get more abilities. Usually at level 20, you get a capstone ability, which a lot of people don't even use because a lot of games don't get to level 20 anyways. And they tend to be really good. And again, especially if you're a spellcaster, you don't want to break your casting. So, multi-classing is a pain in Pathfinder. Back in 3.5, before Pathfinder was a thing, multi-classing was seen a lot because there was a lot of cherry picking in 3.5. That was what people used to do a lot in 3.5, cherry picking. Let me pick these levels from this class, these levels from these class, these levels from these class, and my character can kill anything. That's how it used to be back in 3.5. But Pathfinder discourages that. Now, before I discuss the Variant Multiclassing and what it is, let me go a bit of a segue to feats. Because feats are things you get every 2 levels. They give you a couple of bonuses, and that's it. Now, let me go for the description of what a feat is, the definition. Feat, an achievement that requires great courage, skill, or strength. So it's like a thing you can do, it's like a really wow thing you can do. However, in Pathfinder, feats are just bonuses. You get a +2 bonus to a skill. You get +4 bonus to your initiative roll. You get more health. Woo! I think that feats are antiquated. I honestly think we need a better feat system. And we need better feats, to be quite honest. Because these feats don't feel like a thing that requires great courage or skill or strength. There are a few feats that do, however, like one of my favorite feats of all time is Antagonize. It's a feat that actually lets you tank, similar to an MMO tank. You can antagonize your enemy and they have to spend their turn going towards you and attack you. Or they get a penalty whenever they attack someone else. That is a meaty feat. And that one doesn't even have requirements, which is awesome. I honestly think that feats should be more like small class features. 5th edition D&D 5th edition really comes to mind when it comes to that, because their feats are robust. Not only did they tend to give you an ability score bonus, which it's okay if Pathfinder doesn't do that because that would be way too Baroque for Pathfinder, but they tend to give you a bunch of abilities you can do, things you can do. That's the key thing. Things you can do. That's what I think feats should do. Things you can do. To me, a fix would be to give less feats, but make them more robust. Which segues back into the variant multiclassing, because in variant multiclassing you get half the feats that you usually would, but at 3rd level, 7th, it's 1, 3, 5, 7. So yeah, it's you get feats at 1, 5, then 9, and so on and so forth. With variant multiclassing, you get the variant multiclassing feats. I like to call them the variant multiclassing feats. At 3rd level, 7th level, 11th level, so on and so forth. So that's what it does. That's what the variant multiclassing thing does. It takes away. I have the table here. I don't know why I'm counting. So yeah, with the variant multiclassing, you get feats at level 1, levels 5, 9, 13, 17. And then you get your secondary class feature at level 3, 7, 11, 15, and finally 19. So I think it's a fair trade-off. However, you gotta see how these things are made. That's just basically the gist of the whole variant multiclassing thing. But you have variant multiclassing features for the Barbarian. You have the Bard, the Cleric. You have all the core classes, you know. With the Barbarian, you do get a Rage a couple of rounds per day. Uncanny Dodge, Rage Power, Damage Reduction is always nice. And it's, you know, line, so it's just damage reduction 3 line. Greater Rage. As a Bard, you get Bardic Knowledge, Bardic Performance, Versatile Performance, Lore Master, and additional performances. As a Cleric, you have to pick a deity. Then at 3rd level, you get a domain from that deity. Channel and Energy at 7th level. Improved Channel, Improved Domain, and Greater Channel. As a Druid, you have the Druid Code, of course. Is there a way to get Druidic language? Oh yeah, you do get Druidic as a bonus language. Huh. That's cool. You can be a fighter with Druidic. That's interesting for role-playing. Wild Empathy, Companion. You get an Improved Companion, a Wild Shape, and Greater Wild Shape. I love that the Companion ability, it has an addendum at the end. No ability other than Improved Companion can ever increase her effective Druid level for this purpose. However, it's not bad. You're basically getting a companion at par with a ranger, minus the ranger abilities. Fighter, this one's really bad. Bravery, armor training, weapon training, which is nice. Armor training and weapon training again. Yay. Why not proficiencies? It would make more sense for a fighter. With a monk, you get the whole armor thing. You can't use armor, so you can't wear mini. Unarmed strike, evasion, key pool, AC bonus, and improved evasion, which is not bad at all. With a paladin, you actually get the code. You get detect evil. Lay on hands, smite evil at level 11. So you get a little bit late, but it's still good. Mercy and your Divine Bond is at level 19, which makes sense for a level 19 ability. Ranger, you get Track, you get a favorite enemy, favorite terrain, expert tracker, Twacker, and Quarry. With the Rogue, you get Trap Finding, you get Sneak Attack, Evasion, Uncanny Dodge, and Improved Uncanny Dodge, and, you know, Sneak Attack. It's always nice. With the Sorcerer, you get the Bloodlines, the Bloodline Powers, the 1st level Bloodline Power, 3rd level Bloodline Power. You get a Bloodline feat, so you get a feat for a feat, and you get the 9th level Bloodline Power at level 19. Well, no, at level 19 you get the 15th level Bloodline Power. Sorry, I made some changes to the room, so I'm trying to find where to put the camera properly. I should have do this now. Okay, there we go. Oh, the camera's falling. Shouldn't be doing this now. Oh, that's much better. Alright, let's see. Wizard. You pick a school, you get a familiar, you get a school power, cantrip. At level 11, you get a cantrip. How quaint. At least you can use it at will. But it's still just a cantrip. Why would you? Stop falling, damn camera. Come on, I'm trying to be professional and shit. Oh my god, it's horrible. There we go, much better. The lighting on this corner of the room is even worse, but I like it. Anyways, you get a discovery, which can be very nice, obviously. You get the greater school power, but you know, discovery. You know, true name. Anyways, base class is alchemist. You get alchemy. You get bombs. You get mutagen, swift poisoning, and poison immunity. Not bad. With the cavalier, you get you have to pick an order. You get the challenge ability, an order ability, tactician, greater order ability, and greater tactician. With the gunslinger, you get firearms proficiency. Whee! Gunsmithing. Whee! Deed. You gain the amateur gunslinger feat. At that point, just pick one level of gunslinger, honestly, and you'll get the same thing for one level. Improved deed and greater deed. This one in particular, the gunslinger, was really badly designed. Inquisitor, pick a deity. Stern gaze, which is cool. Judgment, soul tactics, which is also very cool. Additional judgment and second judgment. Magus, my favorite class. You get the arcane pool, so you can enchant your weapon. Magus Arcana. Spell strike. Unless you're a spellcaster, you're not really gonna be using that, right? Not really. I'll explain that later. Improved Arcana, which you get an additional Magus Arcana, and then at level 19 you get another additional Magus Arcana. Oracle, you pick a mystery. You pick a curse. Then you get one of the following revelations from this list. It actually gives you a list of the different revelations and the abilities they get. Then you get an Horizon at level 7. You get the Horizon before the wizard does. At least it's at will. Curse Focus, which lets you add 5 levels to your curse effect for your effective, Oracle Oath to see what the effect you get for your curse. Improved Revelation. You get an additional revelation at level 19. You get another additional revelation. Summoner. You get the summon monster spell-like ability as the summoner, but it's very limited. Eidolon at 7th level, but you can only summon it with the summon monster ability you get a couple times per day. Additional summons at level 11. You can do it 3 times per day instead of 1. Shield Ally at level 15, and then Aspect. But you can only divert 1 point of your evolution point to yourself, which is pretty damn shitty compared to the other things. Witch, Patron, which is familiar. Hex, yay. Healing, free healing for everybody. It's funny because there's an addendum here. If she chooses the Slumber Hex, it can affect only creatures with hit die less than or equal to her character level. That one's actually very damn smart. I think. Cantrip at level 11. Yay. At least it's... Improved Hex, you get a second Hex as a first level witch, so you only use it as a first level witch, but your first Hex advances at level 8. And at level 19 you get a major Hex as a 10th level witch. But you cannot pick Ice Tomb. Cannot. And those are the ones from Pathfinder Unchained. I want to go back to the whole Magus thing because a character I would like to make one day. It's Variant Multiclass Fighter Magus, where you get the Pulse Strike Magus Arcana, and then when you get Spell Strike, You can enchant your weapons with a bunch of flaming abilities or lightning and stuff, and you become you become a Mystic Knight from Final Fantasy. It's pretty nifty, I think. Honestly, it gives you something to do. I think it is missing and it is lacking because I think Paizo could have done the whole Variant Multiclassing thing for the occult classes. I correct me if I'm wrong in the comment sections. I checked the occult adventures book. I did not see anything for Variant Multiclassing there, so I'm pretty sure they didn't. If they did, awesome. If they didn't, they should have. They didn't do it for the hybrid classes, but that one I do understand because hybrid classes are basically two classes meshed into one anyways. So it'd be weird to do some Variant Multiclassing feats, feats for the ones that are already two classes put into one. It is limiting because, well, obviously with the second class you can't pick archetypes, which makes sense. You want to leave archetypes for the classes themselves. I think, even though I'm going to backtrack on that later on, you'll see why. I have a script. Anyways, not really a script, it's just a bunch of bullet points in a Word document. Color me professional. So, I think Paizo, every time they release a new class, they should release a Variant Multiclass for that class. Actually, some third-party publishers... excuse me. Some third-party publishers have actually been using the whole Variant Multiclassing thing in their products. Of note, I have here the Naughty Works. One has they have a couple of products dealing with Variant Multiclassing. One has a Variant Archetype Multiclassing. They have a bunch of fighter archetypes using the Variant Multiclassing rules. So you get the Archer, you get the, or Archer if you want to pronounce it that way. You get the crossbowman, you get the single-handed fighter, you get the dual-weapon fighter. You get a bunch of fighter archetypes as Variant Multiclasses. And another one, which I really, really like, it's a Variant Prestige Classes multi-class thing of a jig. So instead of picking a class, a Variant Multiclass, you pick a Variant Prestige class. You do have to meet its prerequisites before picking it, but you can pick it. You can make your choice anywhere from level 1 to level 3. At level 3, you have to pick it because at level 3 is when you start losing your regular feats for the Variant Multiclassing feats. The link to these products are gonna be in the comment section, not in the comment section, in the description below. If you want to check them out. If you are a fan and if you like using the Variant Multiclasses, I can wholeheartedly recommend it. I know that Rogue Genius Games also has some Variant Multiclassing products, so check them out too. I don't have those with me, sadly, so I will not be linking them. That's how I work. I'm looking at me instead of looking at the camera. You notice it? Anyways, that's one over the third-party publishers have over Paizo. I keep saying people besmirch third-party publishers because, oh no, they're too broken or they're stupid or whatever. But a lot of these people actually do a better job than Paizo does in their own products. So I always tell them, give third-party publishers a chance. So, to give players more bang for the buck, I do invite all third-party publishers out there to start adding Variant Multiclassing to their products. Once I begin publishing again, because I used to a couple of years ago, I do have a bunch of products under the ARMR Studios name in Drive-Thru RPG. But once I start doing it again, because I am planning on designing again, I will start doing that too, and including Variant Multiclassing stuff in my books as well. Now, before we finish, let's read the words of the adventurers at large. I asked around to see what people thought of the Variant multiclassing system, and this is what a lot of them have to say. Damien of Argentina has to say, I don't know. You can multiclass with mage and cast a single spell. I don't like. I agree there. Like I mentioned a couple of times, you get Horizons or a cantrip. That's really lame. I mean, I do get you don't want to give them the spell casting system itself, but if you're gonna pick a spellcaster, at least you couple of them get a couple of nifty bonuses. Ryan of Missouri states, "My wife is currently playing a witch with varying multiclassing and cleric of Nephis. At our current level, she only has the cleric spontaneous casting, always nice. But it's so great to have her hexes to nerf the enemies one round and cure spells for us on the next. Nice. She also has a pretty neat domain power, but it never gets used. That's kind of sad that it never gets used. And a lot of these abilities, sadly, they won't get used. Like the Magus variant multiclassing, you may pick the Magus Arcana for a couple of other things. So when you get the Spell Strike class feature, you're not really going to be using it, maybe, depending on your class and your build. So that's kind of sad. Simon of New York states, "I suppose it works okay for full casters who don't want to give up spell and caster level." Yeah. But really, none of the options are worth giving up half of your feats for. Debatable, but I can see his point. Because a lot of people, when they make their builds, they're very, very feat heavy and very feat taxing. I remember in a game that I'm currently running, a player was complaining, not complaining, but he was mentioning a couple of things about his build. And I said, "Oh, why don't you just do this, this, and this?" And he says, "Oh, I can't. I need the feats. I need these exact feats to be able to make my character viable." It's like, that's kind of sad. That's one of the reasons I honestly think the whole feat system in Pathfinder needs an overhaul. Adventurer Abe states, "I have a specific builds I like for it. Unfortunately, the extremely narrow focus of the classes and abilities given means that it typically doesn't actually build what it promises. A system that allows blended characters without regular multiclass." Sam of California states, "The power level between them seems off on some of them, like Gunslinger." Yeah. If you just took one level of Gunslinger, you would get better than the first 3 benefits. Yep. But then again, the Gunslinger is one of the worst assigned classes in all of Pathfinder. At least I think. I don't like it too much. Adventurer Fernando says, "Variant Multiclassing is completely out of whack balance-wise." Oof. Tough words. "Most of them are nowhere near as good as the feats they would cost, while tragically the Variant Multiclass Wizard is always better than the feats it costs. Familiar plus Divination Power plus True Name Discovery equals insane." So apparently there is space for cheesing this. But no system is perfect, sadly. Nathan of Indiana says, "Virtual multiclassing can be fun. Some of them are bad and some a little too powerful. But with a little GM discretion, they make for a good way for a character to dip without having to give up too much." Yeah. Plus we all like our full classes. "I very much enjoy my swashbuckler virtual Variant Multiclass Bard." Oh, man, I blanked. "I very much enjoy my swashbuckler Variant Multiclass Bard, even if it wasn't completely optimal." You don't always have to play optimal. I know a lot of us do. I sadly fall into that category as well. But you don't need to play optimal, so good on you, Nathan of Indiana. As we can read, many of the complaints fall under the same pretext, either too crappy or too powerful, with most of them... Sorry. Must have been those almonds I ate. With most of them going with the whole, it's too crappy for what you lose. And that's my issue, because when it comes to feats, I hate prerequisites. We had to hunt the wabbit. Anyways, the prerequisites, that whole thing is just bad. Having to pick power attack to pick cleave and greater cleave then, or having to pick combat expertise to be able to trip someone, to improve feint someone. That to me is silly. I think those feats should not have prerequisites, and their greater versions, you get them with character advancement, regular character advancement, not having to pick actual feat. Like, you get improved feint, and then at level 7, it just gets greater. I think that will be a better system than having to track down feat per feat per feat per feat, because when you buy a new book, you have a new archetype, and those are archetypes, so you can just pick and choose archetypes, and those are fun to try to combine and mix. But when it comes to feats, there are a lot of feats that are very nichey. There are a lot of feats that are very redundant. I've seen feats that do things that other feats actually do. Feats that barely do anything, but you need them as a prerequisites for another feat. For example, endurance, that you need for Die Hard. Die Hard is a badass feat, but you need endurance for it, and it's fucking stupid. That's why I think the whole feat system needs an overhaul. Maybe endurance can be combined with the regular endurance and Die Hard. Or heck, do what 5th edition did. Combine that and toughness. Because why not? You want to give them a feat, more bang for their buck. Give them less feats, but more bang for their buck, and give them the Variant Multiclassing. I think that will be for a very interesting game. Pathfinder 2.0, anyone? Maybe, perhaps. Make it so, or I will. Now, our friend, fantasy author and game designer Aaron Hollingsworth graces us with a cameo again today. And here's what he has to say.
Okay, so here's the thing about some players, right? No matter how many archetypes you provide to a class, no matter, I'm sad to say it, how many hybrid classes that are put out there and created, some of them by me, no matter how many class options, no matter how much customization, no matter how much customizability can be in a class, people will always want to multi-class. It's seen as a legal form of rebelling and rule breaking. People just have a natural tendency to walk outside the norm. It's like, you're raised a certain way, and you just want to dip into another way of life and experience that, or just, people like to mix things. Even when you can mix and match all you want within inside a certain class, people will always desire to multi-class. Variant multiclassing is a great way to achieve this, especially since all you got to do is, well, you got all these feats coming anyway, and they're not even considered bonus feats. They're the feats that you're entitled to. And so you can use these feats to multi-class without the commitment. Well, I don't think variant multi-classing will completely fill the need for some players who just have to mix and match. No matter, you'll always have players who want to take levels in Sorcerer and Barbarian, and they're like, no, I don't need to be a Blood Rager. No, I know what I'm doing. I have a plan, and there's nothing wrong with that. So variant multi-classing, it's cool. It's cool. I like it. As a developer, I can see how much class abilities are worth when they are meant to replace a feat or a collection of feats. I get a feel for the balance of certain class abilities so that I can kind of work off that when I'm developing something new. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on variant multiclassing and just multiclassing in general. You'll never be able to satisfy the people who wish to multiclass. Even people who want to play multiple races. If you want to play a half elf or a half orc, there's always going to be somebody who wants to play a half orc, half dwarf, or half elf, half dwarf, or what have you. People just desire to mix and match things. A lot like alcohol. And whether you're mixing alcohol or mixing classes or mixing character races in a game context, you want the night to be interesting. Anyway, that's all from Aaron Hollingsworth today. Y'all have a good weekend. Or, yeah.
Alright, so final thoughts. The Variant Multiclassing is good. I honestly do like it. Always ask your game master's permission before using it. It has its problems, but like I said before, no system is perfect. Though a lot of polish is really needed, both with this system and with the feat system, because I do understand that a lot of people don't want to use it because they are afraid of what they're gonna lose with their feats. And it shouldn't be that way, honestly. I don't think it should be that way. Your feats should be things your character can do, and your whole build shouldn't be tied to them. Because it's okay if they're like sort of like you base a character build around the feat, that's fine, but not that you need all these prerequisites to be able to get those feats. Like Eldritch Heritage is a really cool feat, and it's fine that you need high charisma to already pick it, but why do you need skill focus? Ugh, that is so stupid, man. You have any idea how silly it is? And then skill focus obviously doesn't have any prerequisites, so you could pick, my favorite one, Abyssal Bloodline, for a martial character, for a melee character, to eventually get that nifty bonus to strength, and then pick skill focus knowledge to planes, but not have any points in knowledge to planes. So it's a skill I can't use, but I still have a +3 bonus on it. Do you see the problem here? Do you understand? Do you comprehend the words that are coming out of my mouth? I hope so. Paizo, do better. Honestly, I think this is gonna sound controversial, because so many books that we have nowadays. But I think Pathfinder could honestly use an overhaul. If not, any third party out there that's thinking of making a new game, totally do that. A Pathfinder-esque game, but have the feat system be different, and just put the multiclassing, the Variant Multiclassing, as part of the core game. That would be kick-ass. Give your players more things to do, more powers. Though a lot of people could be overwhelmed by just the sheer options of things they could do. Checks and balances, people. Checks and balances. Well, that's all for this Geas Quest, Valiant Adventurers. Until next time, this is ARMR signing out. And remember, rule number 1, always have fun. Like what you saw today? Remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you don't, it might get pitch black, and you are likely to be eaten by a grue.